everybody. This is so cool. I know some of you personally, but we're meeting face to face for the first time in a lot of cases. We'll wait another couple minutes and then do a more formal introduction, but it's really a treat to see all these faces. Yippee! So, who we have here? Jay Khan, Marcella. Sarah Marchand and I were the two angry people who launched Writers Resist. About 3 weeks after, 4 weeks after Trump was elected president. So I'm not sure all our writers have the background, but do we have a couple minutes, Sarah, shall we plunge into an abbreviated version of our origin story?
Sure, why not?
You want to do that real quickly?
Sure.
We have 1 minute. Yes, no, you want to tell our story?
Oh, am I still muted?
No.
You can hear me? Okay. Yes, that's fine. That's great. I guess.
Okay, time's up.
Okay. It feels like so long ago. This was the longest 4 years of my entire life. And I'm just tired.
It was tiring. So we should kick it off now just about.
Okay.
I'm just waiting to see. And hi, Connie. I just have to say hi, Connie, because we haven't spoken in some years.
Hi,
my dear. How are you?
I'm good. Working on my new book. It'll be out at the end of April. I'm really excited about it.
Cool.
Hopefully
Congratulations. The other person I see that I'd like to more formally introduce real quickly is Debbie Hall, who is one of our recent poetry editors. Hi, Debbie. I don't see Ying yet. Ying Wu is our other poetry editor. But let's kick it off because we have a super tight schedule. So just a couple of announcements. When you are not reading, and if you're simply part of our lovely audience, please keep your microphone muted. Like right now, I'm hearing some significant feedback. So if you keep yourselves muted until it's your time to read, then we won't have too much feedback happening here. Sarah has graciously taken on the task of agreeing to read your little bios that you shared with us that are on our website. Someone needs to mute, please. So there's no need for you to introduce yourselves, and because you unfortunately are each limited to 5 minutes, everybody gets a chance to read. That includes any introductory comments that you feel absolutely compelled to share before you read your work. So please, gauge that as you're choosing how to present yourself tonight. But again, Sarah will be doing introductions based on the bios that you shared with us before. Other than that, again, please honor the 5 minutes so I don't have to get the hook, and keep yourselves muted unless you're going to read. And I want to kick us off. And I know people are going to be dribbling in, so I want to one more time though say hi to everybody who's joining us. And I'm really eager to see faces when it's time for you all to read. Dini, hi. Oh gosh, Phyllis, Mileva, am I saying your name correctly? Mileva is joining us from Greece. Yaza, Dini's joining us from Scotland. People are from all over. It's just really cool. So let's kick it off. I'm going to read actually from our anthology, and this was a wonderful introduction or dedication that one of our writers way back when in 2016, I guess, wrote for us, and it's two activist writers. So this is a message for all of you, and it's by Rachel Fetterman. They said, "You sound angry." They thought this would humiliate you, make you stop writing or change your tone to something less strident. Anger is not becoming, they said. They did not know that anger is how you will become who you are. Literature is dying, they warned, shuttering up humanities departments, shaking their heads when you said you were majoring in English. But you know literature is alive. It is a live thing, alive through you, how you breathe. Bookstores are your temples. You're searching for new green lights, a multicolored whale, woods of your own where you will live deliberately. Literature is not dying, you say defiantly. For many of us, it has only just begun. They said, the written word has lost its power, but that was before they saw what you wrote. So thank you all again for joining us. And is Kitty Anarchy with us yet? Yes, hi Kitty. So Sarah, would you introduce her? Don't forget to unmute.
Hi, everybody. Kitty Anarchy is an anarcho-feminist. I can't say that word, I'm sorry. Ikana woman poet, short story writer, an artist born and raised and currently residing in the occupied Tongva land, now known as the San Gabriel Valley in Southern California. Kitty grew up as an only child with a strict Catholic immigrant mother. She discovered punk rock and started spending her weekends watching punk bands at the Hong Kong Cafe and questioning her indoctrination, as we all should. Thank you, Kitty. Nice to see you.
Thank you for having me. I'll just get right to it. My body, my choice. Jesus said, Jesus is dead. Jesus don't have what's between our legs. Our cavities, ovaries, fallopian tubes, uterus, cervix, not just vagina. Could you even name the parts tucked deep inside us? Jesus is Mary Magdalene, history erased, resurrected in us, now who's two-faced. Men preach and give mandates, not to have their own dicks altered, but to do things to us, because Jesus said, but Jesus is dead. Oppression Olympics. You can't even say a problem with someone having a better story than yours. Suddenly, they're the ones telling theirs, yours out the door. It's the oppression Olympics out here, but those doing the oppression aren't even out here down here. They're watching us fight over crumbs from up in the hills. Mylar blanket. I'm the cheap substitute of a parent's warm embrace. Silver color to cover kids of any brown race. Bystanders, pawns of a hate game they didn't want to play. Confiscated goods because their parents dared to break free. Now the kids cling on to me. A space sage material, offering no comfort, absorbing no tears, accentuating fears of an unknown place behind chain link walls. Resistencia indígena. Tan a gusto vivíamos libres, contentos en estos continentes. Vinieron los invasores asesinos, violadores con enfermedades. Robaron, tomaron, explotaron. Nuestra gente, recursos, madre tierra. Nos echaron fuera, se apoderaron de lo que quisieron. La iglesia respaldó estos hechos. Civilizar a los salvajes, salvar sus almas, sino torturarlos, matarlos con armas. Introducieron tecnología, toxinas, resentidas, aburridas rutinas, a desunir las familias. Ahora compras cuando antes ya tenías. Ahora pobre cuando antes te sostenías. Pero fallaron en eliminarnos. Continuamos luchando. Sobrevivimos. Nuestra existencia es la resistencia. Como antes un día ha de volver. Capitalism made it so you spend more time with your coworkers than with your family, with your boss and with people you care about. Has you hustling for cash to buy brands and ornaments to make yourself look better, to fit in a society that will continually reject you for who you are. Unless you're the 1% pulling the strings, you're just a pawn in the game. Used for labor, maybe perhaps if they give you a chance. Make you think you need to show your worthiness to be exploited by making someone else rich. If you work hard, you could even be an exploiter of labor yourself. Don't you want to climb to the top? The competition started before you even existed. Numbers. You were assigned your number. Without it, you're nothing. You don't even exist. Memorize your number. You'll need it all your life, even when you die. You can change your name, but not your number. People literally die trying to get a number like yours. Your permission to exist here, be a contributing member of our society, is contingent on assignment and possession of this number at all times. Keep this number secret, because identity theft. Dead people's numbers for sale. $300 to use my cousin's number. He's not working anyways. Plus, you'll help towards his retirement. Practice saying your new name. Object. Living grown-up blow-up doll. No opinion said at all. To get far, she plays the part. They'll let her come, but just so far. As long as she's their little toy and goes along the grown boys' ploy, she can stay their favorite pet. Here's the thing she doesn't get. As long as they're the ruling class, she just stays a piece of ass. That is all and nothing more. Those last ones are from my first chapbook from Arroyo Seco Press. For more information, go to kittyanarchy.com. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Kitty. Sarah, would you like to introduce Ron Dow? He is with us.
Yes, great. Hello. Ron L. Dowell holds 2 master's degrees from California State University, Long Beach. His short stories have appeared in many journals, and he's a 2018 PEN America Emerging Voices Fellow. Ron writes about a suite of socio-political realities in an honest, smart way that challenges stereotypes and humanizes people. He connects gritty narratives, showing how people find hope and even joy in lives where basic needs are hard to meet. Ron currently lives in San Pedro, California. Hi, Ron.
Hi, thank you. Anger management in a time of COVID-19 pandemic and riotous grief. First, understand what you call a riot was the Watts Rebellion ending our 1965 Little League season. No last inning strikeout, but choking smoke, thick of burning rubber. No walk-off home run, but smoldering wood. No game-winning catch, but chemicals scorching our throats, chests, lungs, interrupting me and Gerald's sunrise to sundown baseball passion on Gopher Hole Stadium, red line with public dollars. No, never a riot, senseless though it shines so. CHP, LAPD, Marquette Fry, blood wild, illogical emotion. But rebellions always protest convention, give sound to silence, fires cold, dark places, matter to people ignored who attend unlettered schools and suffer grinding inequity from skin color separation. Baseball galvanized and help equalize the offsets. Sequestered atop our diamond pattern, chain link, backstop, the fire surrounding us move quickly. Scattered pigeons, our world burned in a square circle like bases around our public housing perimeter. Eyes red, local stores convulsing fire, country farms, Save-On, ShopRite, Safeway. An uprising, maybe, but never a riot. And shaking, we scrambled, gasping, we played catch. 2, jurists acquit Stacey Kuhn and Lawrence Powell that spring 1992 for clubbing shitless Rodney, Can We Get Along King? How bad do you jack a neighborhood before the hood says enough? Many times the bucket visits the well, one day the bucket bottom falls out. No, no riot. After madmen smashed Reginald Denny's score with bricks and 4 good Samaritans help his distress, the Little League board postponed practice that day and forever. Choking smoke, thick of burning rubber, chemicals and smoldering wood seep inside our tiny Watts home, searing throats, chests, lungs. Why can't we play, Daddy? My 3 children ask while watching on TV their favorite Jack in the Box burned, and historical newsman calling it a riot as if it's reasonless. Why do they burn their stores? Why? Says he, ducking under an old English 800 billboard. Behind him, a looter wheels from the drugstore's ash, his shopping cart, Huggies, Seagrams overloaded. A young boy helps his father loot the sporting goods, them taking a thermos and 2 thigh masters. The scene shifts to an earlier footage, stores like Empire Liquor, which murdered Natasha Hollins over orange juice, and Tom's Liquor aflame. A woman, plastic bags laden with canned food and toilet paper, Club Reno and auto parts store ablaze, armed sheriff's deputies hiss over people of color prone on their bellies, hands hog-tied behind their backs, cartons of Marlboros cast about the asphalt before them. My daughter's hand sweeps her forehead, ridding herself of sweat. She flinches at the pop outdoors. Her brother snuggles against my bosom. The other one hides behind the door. Sirens scream, helicopters swoop. We've no firewall. Stiffly, we resign to our backyard and play catch. 3, my morning kitchen is cold. I use stove burners to warm, recalling how my mother often left them on, sometimes the oven door open. Now I understand in life's sunset that was one way poor people warmed their apartments. Public housing room heaters were inefficient. I never felt cold in our flat roof, 2-bedroom fourplex. It's been nearly 30 years since the last Los Angeles riot, and those experiences are etched, carved into my mind like the Confederate bas-relief of Jefferson Davis, Robert E. Lee, and Stonewall Jackson on Georgia Stone Mountain, whose ghost lives in habits of white nativism, over-policing, homelessness, immigrant camps, lives sidelined, precursors to when George Floyd can't breathe, calls his mother with his last breath, and once again, will choke in smoke thickened by burning rubber, chemicals, smoldering wood, scorching our throats, chest, lungs. Take me to the ball game. Find someone to play catch with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. That was fabulous. Sarah, before you introduce D.A. Gray, I just wanted to point out to everybody that Ying Wu is now with us. And Ying and Deborah Hall are our 2 current poetry editors. And for those of you who joined us a little bit later, Sarah Marchant is one of our 2 founding editors. I'm the other one. We're still angry, I guess, but so thank you for all of your many volunteer contributions to Writers Resist. And Sarah, you want to introduce D.A. Gray?
Yes, I do. D.A. Gray is the author of Contested Terrain 2017 and Overwatch 2011. His poems have appeared in the Sewanee Review, Gray Sparrow Journal, Appalachian Review, Writers Resist, Comstock Review, Still, the Journal, and Wrath-Bearing Tree, among others. He holds master's degrees from the Sewanee School of Letters and Texas A&M Central Texas. A veteran, Gray now teaches, writes, and lives in Central Texas. Thank you for being here.
All right. Thank y'all for having me, and thank y'all for putting this on. I'm going to start with 4 lights. The focus on the yellow sign dwarfing its black letters allows us to move on, to return to our regularly programmed night of silence. For a day, the gold box burns in the mind. The darker letters, Waffle House, hang like ash. A tragedy happened here, someone says, and then turns the channel. The focus on a shooter's mental health lets us grieve for the sorry state of things. We can't even say it. Murder. We let the rain-soaked streets of Nashville carry the grief down, leaving our silence. Gather enough silence, and we, whose angst drowns the mother, the father weeping on the screen, can cover ourselves. Gather enough silence, and a city can bleach itself great again. No one wants to see the faces, and each, alone in silence, finds an image, a gold sign whose black letters have cooled. Still, something burned here once. It is the eyes that interrupt the silence, cherished more than the heaving chest, witnessed with the sound turned down. We, who've never felt the rush of air through a hole in our sides, stand quietly beneath the fan leaves of a maple tree, relishing the fact it holds back the rain. It is the silence of a lone wolf hiding, quieter than the star, the worker, the athlete, the artist. We belong to the silence that keeps prejudice hidden in the darkness of letters, behind a gilded sign, hiding from the imagination in a place where someone might say terror lives. Spiderweb. The day before the shooting, a woman named Mary in a small Texas town enters a UPS store. Mary shipping a box to Connecticut. Souvenirs mostly, crammed haphazardly. The outside looks crisp, but she worries about how things shift inside. The clerk, Naomi, begins to type the address and stops at the city name, which was headline news just 7 years ago. She'd almost forgotten. Is this? Naomi looks. Yes, Mary says, knowing. And neither needs to finish, and that knowledge is what brings them for a second together. Mary finally speaks first. My niece was in that school, and now I'm here. Naomi reaches across the counter. My friend in a church not far from here. Behind her head hangs a map that's meant to show the UPS reach. Towns across the country connected with red lines. They stare at it, thinking it looks like the legs of a great spider. The day before a shooting, both will say goodbye and go their separate ways. Mary heads to her classroom, a crisp welcome back poster on the outside, disheveled on the inside. Her students have gone, but the papers keep her company late. Naomi locks up the store and returns to the front porch of what a realtor once called a safe community. She stops on the top step and notices a spider's web. Each morning she has swept it from the rail with a broom and returned each evening to find new silken threads, each catching a little of the red of the Texas sunset. She would normally demolish it again, but on this day before the shooting, she stops short. This time she marvels at its small universe, connecting rail to rose bush to electric light. On the day before a shooting, she watches the garden spider descend, manages to check her fear, which is at odds with a life working to feed itself, one that manages to pick up its pieces each day to keep going. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwight. Thank you, thank you. Wrote a little comment to you, save some time. Sarah, would you like to introduce Marcy Ray?
Yes, ma'am. Marcy Ray Henry es una Latina chingona de los borderlands. She lived in Andalusia, tucked away in the Himalayas, and now quarantines with her rescue dog by the Chicago River. Her writing has been longlisted, shortlisted, honorably mentioned, and nominated for the Pushcart Prize, and appears or is forthcoming in multiple journals. She has received a Chicago Community Arts Assistance Grant and an Illinois Arts Council Fellowship. Double Cross Press is publishing a chapbook of her poems. Congratulations.
Thank you. Saludos de Chicago. Muchas gracias, Boca de Oro. Thanks to everyone at Writers Resist. I have a couple of pieces kindly published by Writers Resist, and this first one takes its title from Zora Neale Hurston. Years that ask questions. Black like me, said John Howard Griffin, and the world listened. Black like losing electricity. Black like me, said Rachel Dolezal, and the world blistered. Black like the plague. Black lives matter now, say my neighbors. Black like squares on a checkerboard. Black is beautiful, said Bill Allen, maybe, and the world paused. Black like hair before silver. Doesn't matter if you're black or white, said Michael. Black like a birthmark. And what did I mean by black, asked Coates. Black like seeds. I became black in America, said Adichie. Black like pepper. Black power is a cry of pain, said MLK. Black like blindness. The Black Revolution is controlled only by God, said Malcolm. Black like goth. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear on the tide, wrote Maya. Black like ink, black like mud. Education is indoctrination if you're white, subjugation if you're black, argued Baldwin. Black like leopard spots, black like the unlucky cat, black like guns. Animals weren't made for humans any more than black people were made for white, or women for men, claimed Alice Walker. black like pupils, black like funerals, black like devil's hooves. I think I got kicked out. Am I
Yeah,
back on?
you're back on, and I think your last line was black like devil tongues. Was that it?
Devil's hooves.
Oh,
Close
sorry.
enough. Thank you. Black. It's cool. And black like beaches. Las caras lindas de mi gente negra son un desfile de melaza en flor, sang Susana Baca. Black like asphalt, black like all colors blended together, negro como mina de lápiz, black like the absorption of all colors of the spectrum, black like film noir. Black, brown, beautiful, viviremos para siempre, afro-latinos hasta la muerte. Lyricized Elizabeth Acevedo. Black like eyeliner, black like beans, black like a cocktail dress, negro como el puesto de blanco, black like the depths of Langston's Africa, black like a red-beaked swan. Who would have thought when they came to the fight that they'd witness a launching of a black satellite, said Ali. Black like charcoal, black like black holes, black like coal, black like Christ, black like Olber's paradox, black like the anoxic Euxine Sea, black like the 8-ball. I am black because I come from the earth's inside, answers Lord to the question she posed. And this last one is Americans are rushing around stocking up on toilet paper. In Himalayan India, we use leaves, buckets of water, and our hands. Best-selling tampons have applicators because Americans are afraid to touch themselves. In Himalayan India, we didn't have tampons. We used rags and pads, but didn't touch each other's hands to say hello. When wiping with leaves or plants, you have to know which ones are poisonous, and that's different than knowing the price of toilet paper at Sam's versus Costco. They want to install outhouses in rural India where people have only used the forest. Don't women have enough problems on buses without feeling vulnerable, trapped in a shitbox at night? We learned to cut off tops of water bottles and pee in plastic during an unknown night. With the tops, we made spoons and flimsy guitar picks. At bus stops or crowded train stations, food was sold on plates of leaves that were tossed from windows, degrading sooner than bones and outlived by plastic. We didn't go to bars. We bought individual cigarettes at wooden kiosks and maybe a sticky bit of opium. In Himalayan India, we didn't have many choices for shampoo, toothpaste, or hair ties. We got whatever someone carried up the mountain. During the great American rush on toilet paper, they closed borders, not bars, and the virus made us the perfect hosts.
Thank you, Marcy Ray. Fabulous. Sarah J. Khan is next.
Jay Khan was born overseas and now lives and works in the Kansas City area. The author's parents were born in India, and the author has lived in the UK, Middle East, and USA. His poems have appeared in diverse journals, including Writers Resist, 170 Review, Rigorous Magazine, and SPRR. His chapbook, Speech in an Age of Certainty, will be released by Finishing Line Press in 2020. Congratulations for that.
Thank you very much. Thank you, KB. Thank you, Sarah Marchant, for putting this out. And this poem was stimulated by reading that. We're all in the narrative work and trying to change things. Sometimes that's difficult work. And this poem is about my struggle with that. And it is, I don't have the title here, so I'm not sure what the title is. Anyway, that day over lunch, I was going to write about the Yemenites starving while the Saudis built 5 new palaces on the Red Sea. A poem might make a difference. But the sun was shining, 75 degrees in October, and the outdoor pool is heated. So I went for a swim instead. As I swam laps, I felt joy and splash with each stroke. thankful for clients traveling to see me in their combustion-driven vehicles, and for the cheap fuel that leverages each shiny day. For 3 laps, I considered the convenience of gasoline and riderly leisure. Okay, yes, a Lockheed Martin missile incinerated another Yemeni school bus. But how could a lunchtime poem make amends for 50 dead school children or 8 million starving? Poetry of angel wings and metrical feet. I thought you were the steed of change, that with the right words, we would skywrite the nation's conscience. Now I see, my words never had Lazarus' force, and we are no match to the god of gasoline. The cardiologist said my heart stopped. The apartment manager said I was pulled blue from the pool, resuscitated with CPR and defibrillator paddles across the chest. I survived the ambulance ride, heart stents, ICU, rehab. Today, I put my head back in the game, read an anthology of resistance poetry. Each work smoldered on the page until my chest burst into flame. I rose from the bed, grabbed my pen, and began to write again. Thank you.
Thank you. Yowza. Sarah, Phyllis Klein, isn't it?
Phyllis Klein's work as a psychotherapist specializing in trauma and certified poetry therapist, wow, has informed her poetry. She weaves her own traumas into her poems as well. Her book, The Full Moon Herald, is a poetic newspaper filled with real-world news and personal news. She's been widely published in journals and anthologies. She sees writing as a dialogue between author and reader, an intimate relationship-building process that fosters healing on many levels. Phyllis?
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. And I'm in really good company. Thank you. So this first poem, I just want to say there's a trigger warning on this poem. It's about sexual assault. I wrote it to honor Christine Blasey Ford and all the courageous survivors of sexual trauma. And I'm going to read the last line twice. Life is glass. With an epigraph by Neil Gaiman. There are so many fragile things after all. People break so easily, and so do dreams and hearts. Breaking. Buzz of a bone fractured, burst of a bowl hitting the floor, boom of a heart splitting. Please like me. A dream as it shatters. Please think I'm good. Whistle of a word as it severs from itself into the air, of a scream demolished. Moments of breaking, hand over the mouth, gagging, pushing into a room, locked, door locked from the inside. Parties, drinking. Why did I do that? The seconds it takes to get lost. Smash of consciousness as it disappears. Disillusion's waking croak. Where are my clothes? Fragmentation into terror. How it happens. Remembering. Forgetting. Was I drugged? After school, at a party. Pungency of impact. Taste without permission. No proof. In the sacristy, in a back seat, a hotel or a bedroom. Did it happen? Breaking, dust of collision, whiff of dreams burning, nightmares strike, symbols snarl in the brain. I'm repulsive, floating above it all in a disappeared body. Why she didn't tell? Pretend. It didn't happen. No one will swallow it. He threatened, laughed, was stronger, bigger. It's my fault. They won't believe me. Pretend. Have to see him sneer. Hide it. What happens next? Cracks, panic, a plane taking off in the gut. Armor as involuntary as neurons saying run, but all there is a wall. Looking okay, nobody knows. Get over it. What is PTSD? The thing that won't leave, the image, the smell, the taste that's a plague, the crust of shame, lack of sleep. When is it over? Feeling it, numbing it, not understanding yet that greatness can come from damage. Not understanding yet that greatness can come from damage. And the next one is called Holding a Place for Human Kindness to Go. Excuse me. And it came from an article in the New York Times. Strangers until the homeless man moves into the rancher's apartment, the one he decided to build on his land, generous with California oak woodlands, with coastal sage scrubs. The rancher wonders, why doesn't everyone do this? He doesn't realize it is greatness to see potential when everyone else sees menace. Those immigrants invading like Mediterranean grasses, Spanish broom, yellow star thistle, weed them out, those seekers, or the downtrodden, downthrusted, the ones bereft of four walls, invading the city, choking out the libraries, the beaches. And the homeless man who has a roof now doesn't realize his life is a poem when he says, living on the streets takes your dignity away. How his life was on the edge of felling, so much like a weed in a garden he could pluck out himself. And now he lives in a new house, in a new home, on a ranch near a person who takes a risk, digs a foundation, offers the horses, the owls, the steelheads, also endangered. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Phyllis. Sarah Cassandra.
Cassandra Lane, hello, hello, is the author of We Are Bridges, coming from Feminist Press, winner of the 2020 Louise Merriweather First Book Prize, and editor-in-chief of LA Parent Magazine. Her stories have appeared in Everything But the Burden, Misaligned, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, Writers Resist, Expressing Motherhood, Fury, Women's Lived Experiences During the Trump Era, the New York Times Conception Series, and elsewhere. She received an MFA from Antioch University, Los Angeles. A Louisiana native, Cassandra now lives in LA, and she's the only woman I know who likes Barbies as much as I do.
Yes. Look. Sarah and I are always sending each other pictures of really beautifully dressed Barbies, because it's a whole thing on Instagram I never knew. So good to see you, Sarah. So good to see you, KB. Thank you both for tonight, as well as Writers Resist. I'm so honored to be a part of Writers Resist. I did just get my author copies of my book today in the mail, but I want to read from, just take an old school flashback and read from my Writers Resist anthology. Nightmare on Elm Street. Dylan Stormroof invades my dream space in the days after he murders 9 African Americans at a Bible study in Charleston, South Carolina. His spirit travels 2,480 miles to reach the interior of my imagination in Los Angeles. Like a bloodhound, he finds my southern Black body hiding out in the desert. As though terrorizing his victims and their families were not enough, as though destroying the sanctity of an historically Black house of worship were not enough, he comes to me, the girl who grew up kneeling beside her elders in anointed prayer at St. Paul Baptist Church down the street. Unshackled and smug, he comes to me. He comes for me, for us. The dream begins under the cover of night, full of silence and a pregnant, starless sky. My heart pumps into this Blackness. The Blackness responds, alive and aware. The scene switches to a clear afternoon where sunlight slants between two buildings that stand on a hill. I am walking down a slope to pick my son up from school when I catch a glimpse of a man lurking next to a string of parked cars. He is wearing a soiled white t-shirt and jeans. Something in my spirit tells me that this man is wrong, all wrong. I rush my son home, which turns out to be the home I grew up in on Elm Street in Louisiana. I am back in the South after all. In the 1980s, this house was the object of constant teasing. It's Freddy Krueger's house. The same gaggle of kids would yell day after day when the school bus pulled up to 202 Elm Street. Yeah, and there's his girlfriend, Frederica. In my dream, I pause on the porch to finger the empty spot where the third address number should have been 20. But the gunman is on my trail, so I yank open the front door that was always unlocked, get my son and myself inside, and turn the locks. Ruth shows up seconds later, trying to get in, rifle in hand. As my son and I look for safe places to hide, I am both terrified and furious. I am tempted to ignore the possibility of death and unleash my rage on Ruth's face, tear at his skin, the mask over hate. What does it look like? Ruth continues to point his rifle, its snout peering at the front door's window. He could easily shoot out the glass and work his way in. Instead, his strategy is to drag out the terror with painstaking patience and steadiness, tinkering with the door handle, making threats, stopping completely, and then starting up again. I hold the product of terror in my hands. It is my son's small shoulders. His shoulders are fair and brown, full of naked fear. I carry his tremors in my fingers, dialing first my husband and then the numbers that I have forgotten to constantly reiterate to my son, 911. In bursts of hysteria, I appeal to the operator. He wants to kill us. Ma'am, the operator says calmly, someone is on the way to help you. When the sheriff shows up, I look out the living room side window facing west. The sheriff and Ruth stand outside the patrol car, face to face, their arms at their sides, relaxed. Ruth is suddenly in a business suit, navy blue, immaculate. I see his rifle hiding under the sheriff's car. I hear the sheriff talking to him in a low, calm tone. I make my way outside to get inside their intimate conversation. With a screech, my husband drives up, jumps out of his car and lunges for the terrorist, but I lunge for him to restrain him. I envision the handcuffs glaring against his brown wrists. Click, guilty, assault, attempted murder. I hold him down and he holds me down. And in this holding, we begin slowly to regain our composure. We are statues of self-restraint. Thank you.
Thank you, Cassandra. Thank you so much. Marcella is next.
Marcella Redmond is a native of Omaha, Nebraska, and a South Dakota transplant, where she teaches English at the University of South Dakota. Her poems have appeared in numerous journals and anthologies. She's the author of a chapbook of poems, The Sea is My Ugly Twin, and a full-length collection, The Book of Crooked Prayer, both from Finishing Line Press. Her latest manuscript is a collection of poems based on Ireland's Magdalen laundries. Hello.
Thank you very much. And thank you for being angry enough to bring us all together. It's great. This is called Post-Political Meltdown. And it was my response to Trump being elected and people telling me that I needed to get over it. Post-Political Meltdown. I am 60 years old. In my lifetime, my mother's lifetime, and all the lifetimes that came before, no woman has been president. Don't tell me to get over it. I have trained blonde footballers for jobs I couldn't get without a penis. Sorry, jobs that paid 10 times my single mom's salary. After 40 years, I still must work harder, longer, sweeter to make less. I have been the chick in the band. I am afraid to go out alone at night, to walk alone, eat alone, travel alone. I have been targeted as a child, 9 months pregnant, wrinkled and old. Pedophiles picked me out at 7, again at 13. Don't tell me to let it go. I have worked since I was 14. So has my mother, who worked 2 and sometimes 3 jobs until she was 70. So had my grandmother. Both of them always still expected to keep a clean house, put dinner on the table, pay bills, and keep 4 kids quiet. I have daughters, daughters-in-law, granddaughters, nieces, girl cousins, sisters-in-law. Their world goes on unequal, unsafe, unjust, until those men are gone. You know who they are. And worse, these women and girls inherit billionaires' greed and grift, international isolation, and worse. Open, ignored, sanctioned hatred and humiliation aimed at my non-male, non-white, non-Christian, non-straight, othered friends and family, and yours because you have them too. The list of damages goes on and on. Don't tell me we have other work to do. I have earned this anger. Do you hear me? Don't tell me not to feel this grief, this disbelief, this loss of faith. I will open my heart and my home to those who are terrified, paralyzed, hopeless. I will get over it, let it go, move on when I see everyone moving. Until that moment, I will keep screaming no. And this poem, thank you. And this poem is called Paschal Lambs, and this is my response to the pandemic. We pandemic dead are the Paschal Lambs, brought to the front of the room, our throats slit, our blood brushed above the doorways of women and men with lined pockets, tax tables in the marketplace, political agendas, ambitions, future thrones that glint in their eyes. Our sacrifice atones always for someone else's redemption, makes possible their perpetual exodus. Our deaths are not consecrated, not a communion, nor a remembrance. We are slaughtered so that others might forget. We are spent in numbers too many to fathom. In the day of reckoning, when all that's left are a few aging, hobbled rams and ewes, when the hillsides are desolate, the heather gone to seed, those who offered up every lamb will cower behind their blood-red lintels and freeze, without fire, without wool. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcella. Thank you so much. Aisha, Sarah.
Aisha Martin Thiam is a trilingual and multicultural writer, musician, and artist. She's an editor at Reckoning Press and IEC, producer, creative director of the Naciona. Her work has been nominated for Best of the Net, the Best Small Fictions, and the Pushcart Prize, and her collection At Sea is forthcoming from Clash Books. Congratulations.
Thank you. So thank you for having me, first of all, and like everyone's work has just blown me away so far. This first poem is called Magical Negress. It's a misconception that the darkest skin won't bruise or blush or freckle. The realest sleight of hand, though made of color, you are in fact colorless. And suffering begets suffering ad nauseum, till it burgeons enlightenment. Tell me when your childhood ended versus this wisdom, it takes work, but it pays. But we know what's what. Things get harsh light the longer you stare them down. Stardust wings are feet of clay. I fear someone will kill me ugly, that I will die hard. If one walks with a fighting foot, one must tussle their way through life. And suffering begets not suffering, ad nauseum, and no burgeoning enlightenment. I woke up to my days with short fuse in hand and gainsaying Spitfire heart. And why shouldn't I be like a crazy person? Why shouldn't I pitch my mast to sea? I'd like to live within means, a pilot's confidence to carry souls to safety. The realest sleight of hand, though made of color, you are in fact colorless. Don't tell me when your childhood ended. Be the shoulder, the world's mammy. A misconstruction. The darkest skin bruises, blushes, freckles, bleeds most vividly. I want to open windows when it rains and awe my iridescent scales. I want to say I am doing my best with my secret voice and to my one-woman audience. The second one is called Lady Macbeth. You sit atop a quaking earth. Sometimes you feel, when you lay your hand on the bed's surface, tiny tremors running up its length. Perhaps they are the scores of all the gushing evils it saw you do here. Words and sighs like the aftershock of surprise. Put this in your mouth and hold it. You were too young for the lessons you learned, but you would have learned them anyway. Woman, a universe unto herself. Pyre onto which they throw every little thing that hurts and every other thing that counted. Imagine yourself a poem, a running metaphor. Volta, life swiveled and whirled by guilt. The sound it makes is a seething kind of noise. People guarding you while they tether you with one hand. I want more than you are being told you can get. Head scarred from all the glass ceilings you knocked into. It hurts. It is a yearning in which one can never settle because the other side of yearning, it comes at your heels savage, thankless, tripping. Imagine yourself midway through the air, trapeze flying as you discover that you are the dreaded void, and you let go. Matryoshka-like, you trick. You are not kind. It has sidestepped you. Maybe this feeling shall pass crow-like over you and swoop. Imagine feeling powerful and powerless, all at the same time. Imagine wanting to massacre, to maul, and being relegated as grace and mercy's figurehead. You sometimes wonder about the strain it takes to dangle, swing. Your hands, they were always too small, your fingers dry and twig-like. So you've decided to cross bridges when you get to them. You are nobody's mother. You resent being vaunted as such. Away with your terrible glory then. I'm going back to my crows, my martlets, my good water, and whatever comes from it. Thank you.
Thank you. That was Connie.
Connie D. Williams is a poet, actor, and actor, community activist, and performance artist with 2 collections of poetry. Leaves of Spilled Spirit from an Untamed Poet in 2002, and Red Soul Falsetto 2012. 2 critically acclaimed poetry CDs, River and Moan and Unsettled Water. His new collection, The Distance of Observation, will be released April 2021 by World Stage Press. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. It's good to be here. All right. I have Let me see. All right. This poem is called Black Folk Know What They Know. Black folk and superstition go together like chicken and waffles. Mama said, we know what we know. America's DNA and Constitution fraction us as though we are not our own witnesses. We drag the umbilical cord of Black mythology round our necks. We fear boogeymen and commodity trading. The way America imagines itself reprograms the memory of history, building true versions of lies. The way you wear your Black masquerade as incantation. When was America great? Idealistic slaveholders, dream messaging, and utopia where Black folk never realized they were human all the time. We return you to your regularly scheduled programming. These truths are self-evident. White privilege, a coma out of context. Blacks, nothing more than allegory. My community, no Lady Justice got turned out a long time ago. That hooker no longer blushes, eyes gouged. She probably wishes she could wash her hands like Pontius Pilate, casting spells to absolve himself. But realize this ain't destiny, but fate. Dice always roll snake eyes. Daddy said, we know what we know. Like when Massa preached, slaves obey your masters. Black folk was like, yeah, right, motherfucker. They knew Massa couldn't be talking about the same Jesus they grew up with in Egypt, with some nappy locks of hair, moved to some projects in Galilee. Black folks known more than rivers. We learned to walk on water without the assistance of a Messiah. Black folk ain't never believed in no white Santa Claus, no Easter bunny. Matter of fact, people from my neighborhood doubted forever that Neil Armstrong leaped for all mankind on the dark side of the moon. Prosecution of a police officer, nothing more than fairy tales across the vastness of Black. Engulfed by exploitation and stereotype, we learn to disrobe our faith, transform naked from scars. We know superstition stitched into our house coat cause alterations made by colonizers. Only take them one generation, convince Black folk they God ain't really no God. What kind of name for God is Ogun, Oshun, Shango, Yemiya? Black tradition, only incantation. The white God, the only God. Everybody know Jesus favor Jeffrey Hunter, blonde hair, blue eyes. I know you seen his picture hanging in your grandmother's kitchen. The white heaven, the only heaven. The notion of Jefferson equality ain't nothing except white noise. Ain't got no traction in Watts and Leimert Park. The prism through which Black folks view one nation under God is never indivisible or for all. Black folk in America born on imbalanced scales that spill niggas into profitable prisons or street corner executions. Told you, Black folks, we superstitious. If you let the Constitution explain it, everybody got an equal chance. But you tell me what country get a 400-year head start on capitalism with all that free Black labor? I know what you're saying. All Black folks do is play the victim, and the chorus is never unrehearsed. We know what your Chicago references mean, how it explains who you are, as though we hire thugs to protect and serve. We know your blame a nigger handbook, so save the advertisement. We know how the birth of a nation ends. We know outgunned. We know crack and Contras got Reagan elected to a second term, yet Black folks only cast in B movies. We saw that bootleg video that defenseless black body, hands in worship, running in reverse, sprawled and splattered like the chalk lines of the FBI informant across television payments in a Simi Valley courtroom. You sabotage every move. Blackmail is an ironic word. J. Edgar cross-dressed King and the Prince. Black bodies lack the kind of gaskets that prevent loss of scarlet memory. Make up your mind. You want us to be subservient or compliant? We already know. Whether you Republican or Democrat, you only gonna ride with us for so far. Only difference, one more up front. Republicans, they appreciate niggas, self-loathing in their demographic. Democrats want niggas who like bounce checks over real change. White America almost never believe when black people say how they feel. When we say that we was murdered and the video was not grainy. Even as black folks heave, call our mamas while pleading the fifth. Ain't nothing unbelievable by reruns and unchangeable plots. Mama said, we know what we know. Thank you.
Thanks, Connie. Yowza.
Are you talking to me, KB? Because you're on mute.
Okay, I was clapping for Connie, but I was on mute. So there's the Connie clap. Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome.
Maleva is next.
Maleva Anastasia Du is a neurologist. Her work can be found or is forthcoming in many journals, including the Molotov Cocktail, Jellyfish Review, Asymmetry, the Sunlight Press, which was the Best Small Fictions 2019 nominee, Ghost Parachute, Gone Lawn, Ellipsis Sign, Queen Mob's Tea House, Bending Genres, and others. Hello.
I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me? I'm not sure. Okay. It's my first Zoom meeting ever. It's my first live reading in English, so I'm sorry for my accent or something. Okay. So I'll be reading How We Roll. It was published in Variety Pack. A squat building, full of murals, full of life. We storm outside and it feels like flying, as if we were birds. We head to liberty, no fear in our hearts, no thoughts in our minds. There's hundreds of us. We are a flock of seagulls and we fly above their heads. They are the prey, like fish in the sea. Or they like it, but we don't aim at them. We only want out. And we walk on. A large street, empty of cars, empty of fumes. We step on it and we march. Like we're a strange parade, as if we're alive. We head to liberty. No obstacles in our way, no time to lose. There's hundreds of us. We are wild animals and we walk beside them. They are the prey, small, helpless animals in the woods. Or they feel like it. But we're not after them. We only want out. And we walk on, singing. A thing, a red line, a shallow cut on the arm of earth. We cross it and it feels like floating, as if we were clouds. We head to the sky, we head to freedom. We feed on freedom, we breathe liberty. We fall like rain above their heads. They are the soil that will turn into mud. Only we don't aim at them. At last, we are free. And we walk on, singing happy songs. But they hear lions, they hear wolves, and we march on, howling at the moon, roaring at the sun, and they hear us now, they cringe, they step back, they are afraid, for they didn't notice when we spoke human and acted human, but they stepped on us, they mocked us, ignored us, killed us. Now we are birds, we rise and shine, we fly in flocks, a pride of lions, we walk in pride, we walk with pride, among those who used us, abused us. Oh, how we roll and how they listen. Now we stand strong, together. We are the revolutionaries, the winners. We are those who defeated them, if only for a while. and we are ready to fight again if we must, and sing again when history calls all those who need us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mileva. I'm so glad you could make it from Greece. Thank you for joining us. I know it's a
5:30 in
terrible
the
time.
morning. But it's nice. Yeah, it's exciting.
Cool. Sarah, Dini?
Yes, yes. I love you guys, but I ain't doing nothing at 5:30 in the morning. So good for you. Dini Armstrong, now Scottish, was born in Germany with British, Dutch, and rumored Hungarian ancestry. In 1998, she left a career in political journalism behind and moved to Britain, where she qualified and worked as a psychologist. Ruthlessly exploiting her insights into the human mind, she has recently completed an MA in creative writing. Dini has published flash fiction and short stories. Hello.
Hi guys, thank you so much for having me tonight. This is lovely. I feel like I'm recharging all that energy that the last year is sort of sucking out of all of us. So thank you so much. So I'm reading a flash fiction story, which comes with a trigger warning for domestic violence and assault. And it's called The Revolting Seed. What are you growing that for? He grumbles. His dinner's made. Just mince and tatties salted to his taste. She wears a skirt that's not too skimpy, not too frumpy. Her makeup subtle. Don't want to be a slut now, do we? She's covered just the marks, and the Waynes are long to bed. She's given them a cuddle and their iPads just in case, with padded headphones to cushion them from the madness of their home. He bought them last month when he came back from his cell, contrite and softly spoken. They hugged him for it, smiling with dead eyes. So are you happy now? He'd asked. Is everything forgiven? And they'd said, yes, and thank you, sir, with a rehearsed formality reserved for strangers and social workers, who ruffled their hair and asked him if everything was all right at home, and you can tell me, and oh, is that the time? While he is shoveling down the food, she stares at the lidless teapot on the windowsill. She's filled it with compost, placed a single seed on the surface and covered it loosely. She keeps the earth moist with little loving squirts of fresh tap water from a plastic spray bottle every morning before he wakes and feels the need to remind her that he comes first. She's rinsed the bottle many times, but it stubbornly clings to the bleachy odor of the cleaning fluid it used to hold. The day is almost over, and she has been safe, but knowing retrospectively is of no comfort at all in all the moments when she balances from eggshell to eggshell, and she's drained. What are you growing that for? Oh, just kitchen house, she says, and butterflies escape with each word uttered. She tries to guide their flight within a narrowly defined path, as they are swatted should they seem defiant, and taught a lesson, wings and legs plucked one after another, the twitching bodies dissected with the scalpel of his tongue. But should they sound demure, they will be swept away in the tsunami of his swelling irritation. Don't waste your time, he says, and rises, pushing back his chair. The seed has germinated, and a single tiny seedling, fragile at this early stage, will not survive if smashed against the wall. She's played the midwife for 2 weeks, at times was ready to give up, but here it is, lifting its tiny head of hope, straining towards the light, like her. She will require gloves to handle it from now. Shall I get you a glass of wine? She asks, deflecting his attention. He pauses, and his face, all suave and charming to the outside world, begins a metamorphosis under the full moon beam of his suspicions. It's imperceptible at first. He freezes for a fraction of a second, but her heart sinks and she's resigned to take what will inevitably follow. Just keep me breathing, she pleads silently. Just 5 more weeks, and this small plant will tower over you. Call me a drunk, he snarls. She knows he needs her to be scared. He has conditioned his arousal to be fueled by despair. I'm sorry, honey, she replies. Please don't be mad. So now you're saying I'm mad, he growls, and all his fangs are fully grown. I'll show you mad, you cow. I'll show you good. He grabs her by the waist and spins her around. Her face is pushed into his empty plate. And while she's frozen in her place, he follows through while she keeps quiet for the boys. Her eyes are fixed on that one seedling now, her only sword. One day, the plant will sprout a bud, and then the bud will open, burst into toxic wolfsbane bloom before her eyes. And she will make him Vincent Tatis yet again, and she will take the kids to bed, and she will face him one more time, and she will watch him, not the plant. We'll watch when he is doubled over in defeat and grubbing for his chest. We'll watch when he is shamed by losing all control of her, of them, his bowels even. She'll listen to his breath. We'll hear him gasping, fighting, not with her, but for his life. And then she'll wake the kids. We'll take that bag that she has packed a long time back. We'll walk and keep on walking without fail. She'll take them to a place where they can trust and bloom and blossom into life, and where their eyes can shine and smile.
Really. Thank you, Dini. Really.
Are you laughing, KB?
No, I'm a survivor of intimate partner violence, and Dini, that was so perfect.
It was, yes.
So satisfying. Thank you.
So satisfying. Wolfsbane, isn't it aconite? Isn't it? I think so. Ying, Wu, a Writers Resist editor. Hey, Ying is a cognitive scientist and host of the Gelato Poetry Reading Series in San Diego, California. She is also a proud member of the editorial team of Kids San Diego Poetry Annual. Her work can be found at Poetry and Art at the San Diego Art Institute, in Clackamas Literary Review and the Serving House Journal, and in the Material World at the San Diego Airport. I didn't know that, Ying. Cool.
Thank you, Sarah. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks. Yeah, well, thank you all for coming. It's great to see so many people whose works that I've read and pieces I've really loved. And yeah, I'm just so excited to see such a great turnout. So this poem is called Eternal Pelagic. We're the everlasting spirits of your water bottle packs and takeout meals and bubble wrap. We drift on the North Pacific current and break apart beneath the sun and haunt the epipelagic zone in clouds of buoyant bits. Your soul will last forever too. Your soul is like the cellophane that seals the Twinkies and the Ho-Hos on the end cap in the Quick Mart, diaphanous yet impermeable. When flesh is dead and cake consumed, where is your wrapper meant to go? The way of Lazarus, or Lucifer, or Ariadne's crown? Or like so much these days that life incarnate bids you throw away, will your soul simply tumble helter-skelter from alley to ditch to fallow field? Without anchor of body, will it waft on the ocean, seeking fellowship here in the windrows of things, once driven and worn and craved and opened and sorted and held and stored and broken? And I'd like to just do one last poem, which is appeared in Writers Resist, called Remodeling the Kitchen Won't Expand Your Mind. My fellow law-abiding citizens, as we steer our carts through Costco and Walmart and Target and Best Buy, Let us remember this. We are somewhere inside our shoes, between the cans of soup and bags of noodles, between crossing off sanitizer and searching for arugula, between the chill of dawn and the cool of night, between apex and nadir, between the arc of the sky and our parking spots. We are more than 7 billion in the world. Each one of us is somewhere. The bones of our forefathers are somewhere. Our baby bonnet buttons, the old TVs we forsook for flat screens, the prizes from our Happy Meals are somewhere. My sisters, we dream frontiers from our cul-de-sacs and pull the crabgrass and whiten our teeth. I ask of you this, touch your navel. We came into life through connection. Feel the soles of your feet. We are somewhere. We are here. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we have about 15 minutes left. Does anybody have any questions for anyone? I think under the circumstances, if if anyone just wants to unmute themselves and speak out. Any questions anywhere?
I don't know, but I literally just touched my navel and put my feet on the floor. Ying told me to.
Nicely done. Well, shall we use our last few minutes to read a few more pieces? Did anybody bring an extra piece? Should we go back to the beginning since
Ron
everyone...
has something. Ron has something.
Ron, let's hear it.
We're going in order or we're no?
Kitty, do you have another piece to read?
How much time are we?
We only have about 15 minutes left, so if you have a very short piece, and then I think Ron has something, and then we'll see if anybody else does.
Okay. Let's see. Villanelle. Break off the chains put on by systems outdated. You are yourself ungovernable. White men made the rules to tame us because they knew we had power. Break off the chains. They made you believe you were nothing without them, but you are priceless. You are yourself ungovernable. Look around. We're all meant to be together, all equal and free. Break off the chains. Open your eyes. Don't be afraid to see the potential in you, the potential in me. You are yourself ungovernable. Don't believe the propaganda. Anarchy is freedom and peace, not chaos. Break off the chains. You are yourself ungovernable.
Nice.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Ron, did you have an extra piece?
Sure.
Great.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, I call this building number 33. At 5, I watched my grandparents chase and put down chickens with expert precisions on their Watts home farm. Grandma used the bloodless snap neck method, the bird under her left arm, feeling where the skull meets neck, snapping the head down snapping the head in a down and out movement. Granddad's euthanizing technique was swift but bloody, wrestling the squirming bird's neck to a tree stump, stretching it between two nails, lopping his head with his axe, spewing blood, the foul tap dance wild until collapse. On the stump, the bird's eyes widened, his bloody beak open, flailing, clawing, unable to escape Grandpa's tight grip. At our Jordan Downs public housing cinder block, number 33, Mother plucked and quartered the lifeless chicken. Blood collected in the sink. She cut, rinsed, and parted pieces. Outers like legs, thighs, back, inners, livers, gizzards, foul stink. She massaged each piece with oil, patted them with flour, pepper, dropping meat into hot lard to pop and fry like magic. The change from loose skin to crinkly, crunchy wings and drumsticks, which made my tongue wag and mouth moist when served with red beans, yams, mustard greens, and apple cobbler dessert. I noticed streaks of cooked blood near chicken joints or bones. One day after dinner, belly full, I raced outdoors to the squeaky seesaw and tripped on loose sand, cut my tongue between my teeth, and tasted blood. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. I grew up on that same chicken. Dwight, do you have any short piece to share?
Yeah, I've got a short one. It's a guzzle called Remaining Pleasures. After the world caught fire, we tried to laugh. It wasn't the old place. We would hide to laugh. When up became down and left became right, he said, "Worst apocalypse ever." She held her side to laugh. Our protest drew sneers. Still, we lined the city streets. Angry men watched but never forgot. We would have died to laugh. What else could you do when the threads unravel? The tapestry held once. We remembered and cried. To laugh seemed out of sync, and yet necessary when talking heads spoke. We fought the urge to remain inside. To laugh became an act of revolution, seeing no joy behind the wheels of these flag-waving trucks. We turned aside to laugh. We still notice the glares, the gun bulges at the waist, and on days the air feels heaviest, we decide to laugh.
Thanks, Dwight. Yowza. Marcy Ray, anything else?
I do have a short piece.
Yay.
It's called Los Saguaros Are Being Destroyed. The sun is needed and also dangerous. Beneath it, people hide things for others in la sombra de saguaros, water in containers painted black to absorb, not reflect sun. Sunscreen, sombreros, clothes, crude maps. Imagine the sun betraying your whereabouts, not using a phone for fear of becoming a little black dot crossing a line. Oh, see, your location is being commodified, along with cages and the cages around them. The virus travels like the rich. Saguaros can die of frost, spreading over expandable skin and fruit red as royalty. Wooden ribs can hold 200 gallons of rain. Si se dejan al sol y la lluvia, saguaros can live 2 centuries, as long as this country has been, longer than this frontera has been. To kill or steal a saguaro is a felony. Cactus cops who normally roam the border now stand by while saguaros are removed to make room for a wall whose removal will be reminiscent of Berlin. Después de 100 años, a saguaro starts to grow its first arm, lifting it into the sky as if to say, "Dame tus cansados, tus pobres, your huddled masses yearning to breathe libres, envíame los desposeídos. I lift my lámpara beside the sun-colored door."
Yay. Thanks. Very cool. Jay Khan, do you have a short piece for us? Don't forget
Yeah,
to
I've got a short piece. Let's see.
While you're grabbing it, I just want to let everybody know we're allowed to run over a tiny bit, so anyone who has an extra piece will just go right through the same lineup, okay?
Okay. This is called Suspect Down. Panther lights an unlucky cigarette. Blue heavens collapse on black. Witnesses deny he waved a gun, but the blue line weaves in self-defense. Shoot to kill, orders from the chief. Citizens blaze and loot the corner store. Bankers skim the rising tide. Gears whir in the house of chaos. Burning buildings cast witchy shadows. Fukushima trickles down its isotopes. The evening news hawks a blue loogie. His mama's hair, a tuned oscilloscope. He was running when shot, had more holes than his blood could fill.
Yikes, thank you. Wow. Phyllis.
That's me. This is called Opening the Beauty Cage. Here you are living in a fashion magazine. Here you are, a sunflower in a field of sunflowers, faces turned away from the shadows you stand in. On a page, in a photograph, on a billboard. Here, on a runway, in a movie, a high school yearbook, an office, a bedroom. This is you, girl in a burqa, athlete who has to dress as a boy. You, girl in your mother's sweaters. You, woman hiding in baggy shirts. Here, a flock of cranes in flight, and there, a murder of crows. When did you know you would never be beautiful enough?
Thank you, Phyllis. Marcella.
This is called Golden Calf. And it was my response to that hideous golden statue of Trump at the Hyatt Regency. So, Golden Calf. The golden calf is wheeled down the hall, festooned with buffooneries, red, white, and blue bunting. The Senate vote to ease pandemic pain comes up short. So many senators busy in the Hyatt Regency parking lot, robed and lighting fires, dancing around the calf with gold golf clubs raised, ecstatic against the hotel's neon lights. The calf promises nothing, and still the idolizers chant, their undulating war cries drowning out God bless America, cries for help, global death knells. Will no one be our Moses, come down from the mountain to break the tablets in two? Who will melt down the calf and from its molten gold fashion coins for the rest of us, to buy the reason, the medicine that will make us whole again, heal us from the calfite spreading disease, so much more virulent, more deadly than any puny virus.
Wow. Thank you, Marcella. Aisha.
Yes, I do have one. This one's called Ask Again Tomorrow, America. I married myself before I married you, and that's a cold, sober claim considering I wouldn't touch myself with a 100-foot pole. I don't know what you are hoping to catch, and friend, I like your ardor, but pump those brakes. Don't ogle promises you don't intend to score. Oh, no mistake about it, I double-taked at your dedication, kept admirable time with the complex rhythm in your salesman pitch, made all side eyes at the way your brass tacks razzle-dazzle sunshine opal mind works. But also I noticed, while you were cantillating down at me, how perfect, how like embroidered clouds your teeth were, and your skin too, cream blonde and lacteous. It might not have been fair, might not have even been on point, but I called it right away. This one spends too much time on himself, plausibly not enough on others, and I need less of that in my life. Par Dieu, I've seen too much. You say you want what you can't have, as if you don't pluck everything your flying eyes alight upon. My people's lineage is the proof. If you, the greenhorn, then I, preceptor, trying to impart what dramatic irony feels like when lands the punchline.
Thank you. Connie, do you have a short piece for us? Is Connie still with us? I've lost a lot of faces. Oh yes, Connie, do you have a short piece for us?
Yes, this real quick. This is a piece called Equal Protection. Y'all think Betsy sewed black yarn into them 13 stars and stripes Think she used a thimble to stitch magic around its borders? That flag don't protect some folks from the tempest like it's supposed to. I supposed it never waved, just hung aloof in the distance, impotently upon a pole, allegiance for the blind. Convinced believers, it is a refuge for all. Most easily forget, oh, glory, the banner of inequity, longer than old Dixie ever was. But I'm aware its intent anyhow. Lord knows this rag gots to be good for something. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. I think I remember that one. Let's see, Maleva, do you have another short piece?
I do a very short piece. It's a bit weird, but it's called the perks of being nobody.
We love
nobody
weird.
Yeah. Nobody wants war. All frogs follow nobody when he dreams big. Nobody leads them to the battlefield, and they are marching, jumping in rows. They are proud, certain they will be fine, certain they own the world, but willing to sacrifice everything for nobody. After the first battle, 2 frogs are lost. Nobody says it's fine. After the second battle, 4 frogs are lost. War casualties, says nobody. Frogs still stand proud. They stand strong, reassured by nobody. They expect victory, they expect glory, and at nights they dream of trophies, of happy trips into ponds, of chasing flies. They dream of their old life before the war, but the days are hard. They fight, and then they die. Nobody's to blame, they yell as they fall down, one after another, battle after battle, and he is happy, happy he's winning, proud of his frog army, happy his soldiers are blaming nobody, and he feels strong and powerful, for if you're nobody, nobody can blame you. Nobody wins the war, only he's left with nobody. He's left alone to celebrate. Nobody is good at wars, and he is happy, happy he won the frog war, but feels sad and guilty too. Nobody won, but with the blood of others. He was somebody once, he can recall, and he feels sorry, if only for a while, sorry for all those frogs who won't be kissed, who won't feel loved, for all those frogs who won't turn into shiny happy princes.
Great, thank you, Maleva. Dee Dee says she has an upbeat piece for us. Let's hear it, Dee Dee.
Sorry, but I'm not finished on something so depressing. So my daughter has Asperger's, and she's been told all the things she can't do all her life, and that has never stopped her. So she's now a visual artist, a musician, and a horticulturalist. So I wrote this for her. It's tiny. It's called Doors. She left my womb and ran towards the open door, been running ever since at lightning speed. She dashed through all the doors at school, never once paused, never drew breath. If one door closed, she kicked it down. If 2 doors closed, she changed direction. Don't stop, my girl. Don't stop.
I love it, thank you. Very cool. Is Ying still with us? Because I think she might have had another event she had to race off to. Yes, you're here. Do you have one more short piece, Ying? Ying froze. Uh-oh. There you go. Can you?
Okay, can you hear me? All right, okay, thank you. Yeah, sometimes my microphone gets really bad, so tell me if it gets bad. Yeah, I have one more piece. It's kind of apropos of sort of like the anniversary of the year of our pandemic. So this is something I wrote last March. It's entitled We Are Hands. We are hands, snatching bundle after bundle of 2-ply paper towels and clutching bottled water packs and seizing bags of pinto beans and navy beans and frozen peas. 1 pound is not enough. 2 pounds are not enough. 20 pounds are not enough. Hunger howls in our bellies. Give us bread, give us sanitizer. Life endures for decades. And we waited in the parking lot as the frigid sky turned gray at dawn, each of us with an empty cart as blood pooled in our ventricles, and our line stretched down the sidewalk as blood expelled from our ventricles. And meadowlarks warbled in the curves of our cochlea, and pink apple blossoms floated on the breeze of wayward consciousness. Our lives could last more than a century. We gird ourselves with paper masks.
Lovely. We have to shut down so our tech support team can go home and sleep off all the work they did today. So I want to thank everybody for really the last 4 years of joyful reading of your works. Thanks to our editors and Sarah for doing the introductions tonight, and to all of you for reading. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, KB. Thank you.
Yay.